I've talked about Magni recently and how he doesn't hear the whispers of Azeroth anymore. It's kind of weird that everybody else is now hearing Azeroth, and where this guy once heard her all the time, now doesn't hear anymore. Kind of tells me that maybe he wasn't hearing whispers from Azeroth, but from somewhere else. Yes, champion. That's right. Something's changed. Now Magni is broken. Let's check out what Bellular has to say.
Welcome back. Today we have got some juicy lore to get stuck into. So, the world is calling out, but we've got no idea what she wants. This leads to people calling Magni Speaker of Azeroth. I mean, remember all that BFA stuff? He's tight with the World Soul, isn't he? Well, actually, not anymore. He just can't hear her voice. They haven't actually communicated.
Interesting, too, that his model kind of changed, didn't it? He used to be more shiny, wasn't he? He was more diamond. Now he looks like he's more stony. Yeah, definitely a model change there. That's for sure. He looks like a stony boy now.
Haven't actually communicated in years. Although everybody else is hearing this radiant song. Everybody else is, but Magni isn't. In fact, he's totally lost his glow. Something is wrong. There's a mystery here. Azeroth is talking to everybody else, but not to Magni. So what is happening? Has he changed? Has she changed? And just what the hell is up with all of these new earthen that we've just found out exist? Well, as it turns out, this stuff is all related, and today you're going to learn a hell of a lot about what's going on in the War Within, and I think you'll leave understanding a good bit more. And also, you'll leave hearing about today's sponsor. Squarespace, they're the online site builder with killer templates, tools, and features to get your web presence started right and easy. And if you go to Squarespace,
I don't think Magni losing his luster is just a model update. I think there is there's some story behind it. He's been made a pawn. Maybe. There's definitely something to it, but it's very weird that he used to hear whispers and now he doesn't anymore.
Use Squarespace to make our job site. They've released so many features, it's insane. My favorite one is Blueprint, because it essentially guides you through their professionally curated layouts and styling options, allowing you to basically build up your own ideal Squarespace template from the ground up, tailored to you, working across all devices, right? It helps you use cohesive fonts and colors. It makes further tweaking of your site really easy, and they have dozens of modern and intuitive options to display your content, and of course to even bring that automatically in from your own social media accounts. They're absolutely packed with features.
They've recently upgraded
their videos feature as well, where you can upload direct to Squarespace and use their new video pages to essentially give viewers a really great video-first experience. And of course, you could do that behind a membership, use their email lists, and so many other things. Now, that's just a taste of what Squarespace are doing. I love how they're regularly shipping new features, and you can go to squarespace.com/Bellular Gaming. You can click the link down below. That's where you can get started with a free trial and build your site, and then you'll get 10% off your first purchase of a site or domain using code Bellular Gaming.
There it is.
The Radiant Song is calling out from the heart of our world, and it really is spooking people. I mean, just look at Anduin's face when he hears in the cinematic. What it is, though, is a warning that something is coming. Something has changed. If Locust Walker is to be believed, it's a Void Lord, like Dimensius. That means the stakes are high, so rapidly in the new expansion, we go to Silithus to ask Magni what's up. But we find a changed Magni. He's sullen, he's bitter, he's lost his glow. He says he's became obsolete. He says he hasn't spoken to Azeroth in years.
Damn.
At first he thought it's because he didn't need to. But then he slowly realized it's actually that he started resenting her a bit from leaving him as a diamond. He can't touch, he can't feel, he's a strange rock man. He's essentially trapped in this rocky body, and now that Azeroth doesn't speak to him, he feels he's lost his purpose. But he does understand.
Interesting, he kind of misses the curse of flesh.
On today's episode, Sam will embark on adventure while wearing his ionic pink wolf suit. There are also rumour of him getting a rat furry suit too. What the
fuck just happened? What was that? I lost my train of thought. I had something to say, and now I can't even remember what I was going to say. Damn it.
The Radiant Song means danger, so he does try to commune with Azeroth. At first, there is silence, but then overwhelming power.
Oh, yeah, I was talking about the curse of flesh. Yeah, what's up, Birdie Viking? I was talking about the curse of flesh. Yeah, it kind of sounds crazy, right? Because he kind of reverted back to pre-curse of flesh days where he's made of stone, right? but it seems like he's upset about it. Almost like he misses the old gods, maybe, what they gave him. The curse of flesh, he wants to be turned back into him. Maybe we're going to actually witness what the curse of flesh looks like what happens when it happens, to see Magni return to his fleshy form. That would be interesting.
What comes out of
maybe he's going to talk to the old gods now that he can't talk to Azeroth to get his skin back.
Heart is different. It is way more powerful than Magni's used to. He gets blasted back, but also he gets blasted back, and in his head is the name of a location. He's hit with so much energy, he's thrown from the console. And whatever spoke to him is different, more powerful than before. The voice is actually so strong, it sends him into a coma. That shows us that something has changed. And I actually want to go back to whenever this all kicked off. During Legion, Il'gynoth whispered, "The King of Diamonds has been made a pawn." And the meaning of that was very clear. During BFA, he was doing all the work of the Titans, right? Everything that he did in that expansion basically served their aims. Everything that he did was done with their subordinates like Mother and Radan, and of course their machines.
Right.
So, Titan stuff, good. No thinking, happy days. That's what Magni had thought. Even though, of course, we see that he was a little bit of a pawn. But I suppose here, he's a pawn that's been taken off the board in the early game, right? He's not really needed. His stuff isn't working.
Yeah, he got
And that's the headspace.
I wonder if he feels like a simp who's lost his girl, because that's what he's acting like. He seems bitter, upset. He doesn't want to talk to her anymore, or she doesn't want to talk to him, so it's upsetting him.
He's in when eventually he meets the Earthen of Kaz Algar, whenever we actually start the expansion proper.
Right.
And their predicament is his wrote large. But before we go there, a quick question. Do you actually know why Magni is a diamond? The answer is through an ancient Earthen incantation that they all straight up mistranslated. And to understand what it did, we first got to check in with the new Earthen of Kaz Algar.
Oh. So these guys have something to do with it?
So our new Earthen allies have got a problem. Mortality. Which is rather funny, really, because dwarves are, of course, descended from Earthen who were afflicted with the curse of flesh.
Right.
So, made mortal. You might be wondering then, well, why are a bunch of rock people worried about mortality? Well, it actually turns out that after enough time passes, they enter stasis. Now, the good news is they can recharge the Halls of Awakening, which are kind of similar to the Halls of Iron in Northrend, and it's all that same family of magic that Magni invoked when, of course, he went and turned himself into a diamond accidentally, and you'll learn how all of that happened later in this video.
Okay.
Now, back to the Earthen, who have got a problem. So, whenever they get recharged at the Halls of Awakening, it also kind of reboots them. It wipes their memory, and that's why they've got these memory crystals. You might think, great, problem solved. But the problem here is they're recharged in the halls, and they have the archives that store...
Wait, so those are memory crystals? I thought they were just freaking rock formations. They're memory crystals. Okay, so does that mean the more crystals you have, the older you've been, the more times you've been recharged? That's interesting. I didn't know there was actual lore behind their crystals.
They're memory crystals. What happens if those things go wrong? And that's where their lore actually gets really interesting. They have no memory of anything beyond 5,000 years ago. Why? Well, because the archives were damaged. They've deduced that the archives were damaged in the Sundering, but they don't really know. And even worse,
what if the Titans
the Halls of Awakening are busted. And the result...
What if, I wouldn't put it past them, what if the Titans damaged them? So we wouldn't remember something that we weren't supposed to remember. Oh, shit.
Well, here is
something maybe more positive about the old gods, something that puts the Void in a better light. Who knows? I don't think the Void is good. I don't think the Titans are good. I think both are selfish in their own way and have their own desires that they want and goals that they want to achieve. And both sides don't give a shit about us. But I'm sure there are things from the old god side that reveal a not so favorable light for the Titans that they've hidden from us.
Is that it's almost a bit like Cylons without a resurrection chip. They can't recharge. They can't preserve their memories, and we learn that within 1,000 years, they'll all just succumb to stasis and just power down.
Right.
So they're actually facing extinction.
Interesting.
So here's what we have. We have Earthen, who are just Titan workers from their maker's perspective. They're recyclable. Some of them got turned fleshy because of old god magic. Those are dwarves. Now, these other Earthen got separated in Kaz Algar, but they're functionally mortal because all the Titan kit that would keep them going is broken. And with them facing extinction, many have actually become a bit more human. They've turned away from their ancient obligations and oaths and things, and they've just taken to things like art, farming, culture, enjoying a life well lived, as mortals do. It's these Unbound that basically are able to live the life that Magni actually wants. It's a lack of having that life that is really why he is built.
Hey, wait, are the crystals clipping through the armor? I hope so, because I've been saying that for a while. I've been saying that I hope the crystals can clip through the armor because then they are more identifiable. But it looks like they are, depending on how thick the armor is, maybe. But some of these like more thin armor, you can see the crystals through them. That's great. Because I was saying like these guys just look like regular dwarves. You need to be able to identify them better. So I mean, the crystals coming through would be pretty cool.
This resentment to Azeroth. So with that,
they're going to. I saw a video on it. That's
probably
great.
Talk about how Magni turned into a big diamond. This all goes back to before the Cataclysm. So, before the Cataclysm, a voice called out from our planet. Then, there were these elemental disturbances that came. And this was all gearing up for Deathwing busting out of his cave and doing all his Deathwing stuff.
Right.
Now, at the time, Magni was the king of Ironforge. Very much a fleshy dude. His brother, Bran, brought a tablet back from Ulduar, right?
It's all Bran's fault.
The Lich King. And they translated it, and they discovered what they thought was an ancient
realm to destroy.
Doc Dizo, thank you for the follow. Welcome to our Scourge.
Ritual to commune with the planet. Now, of course, they didn't understand every detail, but given elemental upheaval and oddness, they thought they may as well give it a try. So, at the heart of Ironforge is the Old City, and it was built around a giant diamond. Magni brought the tablet, he stood on the giant diamond, and here is what he said. And here are the why and the how to again become one with the mountain. For behold, we are the earthen of the land, and its soul is ours, its pain is ours.
Damn, so the earthen have been mentioned long before. Shit, this is like pre-Cataclysm. They've been in the game long before, or at least like canonically. I never even knew that he said that.
You shall become as you once were. You shall return home, and you shall become one with the mountain.
I mean, it sounds like
Now,
it worked.
what Magni thought he was doing was becoming one with the mountain in a sort of...
Like spiritually, but he did physically as well. It sounds like the spell worked, though. I mean, he did become one with the mountain. He became a piece of it.
We can communicate sort of way. But, of course, it was very literal. As Magni spoke the final line, he was turned into a diamond on the spot, and he remained that way for years. I mean, this is what he looked like. And
or you could go down there and see him.
Is that the incantation that he spoke was actually a decommissioning one for earthen. What they thought was some ancient mysticism was actually quite similar to the sort of thing that is going on in places like the Halls of Awakening in Khazal-Gar. So what Magni did was, decommission himself.
Yeah, he put himself to sleep.
And because he was standing on a massive diamond, that is what he turned into.
Interesting that he remembered things, though, when he woke back up. Did he? I forgot, like, what if he had lost... But he remembered who he was. I mean, he calls himself Magni and shit, so he didn't lose his memory like the rest of them.
And this is actually where the mystery kicks in here, because he spent 5 years just stuck there as a diamond. But then, just before the Legion invasion, things changed. He woke up. He brought Khadgar and Bran to Ulduar, and there revealed that Azeroth is a world soul. In those 5 years of stasis, he basically was becoming the Speaker of Azeroth. This was, for all of those characters and a few players, a little bit of a whoa moment, right? Now, of course, the thing we know from WoW's lore is everybody wants to control Azeroth. Void, light, life, death, and clearly the Titans. It's why there's machines everywhere. Their whole plan has been to cleanse...
We still don't know why. We know Azeroth must be more powerful than your typical, like, Titan world soul or whatever it is. But there's got to be something special about her beyond that. We just haven't figured it out yet.
Old god
I'm
stuff.
assuming in the World Soul Saga, we're going to realize why Azeroth's World Soul is so important.
Then wake her up as one of their own, right? And that's what all
She
of
is
their
the creation
machines, their
Titan,
constructs,
possibly.
And by extension, individuals like Magni were in service too. So, it makes sense why Azeroth kind of started communicating with Magni. Why did she stop? And in answering that question, we basically work out what's actually going on here. This is where more recent events come in. So Sargeras stabs the planet, nearly kills her. Magni gets us to the Chamber of Heart, where we basically stabilize the World Soul, and then we discover more about this big network of Titan installations that are all across Azeroth.
Sure.
The World Soul spoke through Magni, but perhaps not in a pure sense. This is where things get interesting, and it's where Dragonflight's Halls of Infusion dungeon comes into play. So, the Halls of Infusion dungeon showed us that the Keepers were infusing dragon eggs with Order magic, and the reason why is to change their form to one that is more useful and obedient.
Yep, that's right.
So, the sort of smooth dragons that we know.
Yeah.
So, what were all the other machines doing?
Drink the water, become part of our cult, basically. That's what it was.
Example.
And the problem was that they were doing it unknowingly. At least a lot of them were. The aspects knew what was going on, but the rest of them really didn't. And they started doing it to eggs, right? That was why the incarnates had such a problem with the with the dragons, with the what's it called, Alexstrasza and all the rest of them. Was that they basically were doing it to babies, and they didn't like it because the incarnates felt like they were given no choice.
When not being used to wipe the world clean, the Forge of Origination, according to Chronicle, I quote, regulates the rhythms of the deep earth and fortifies the world soul's form. Fortifies its form. I mean, come on. Just like how the Halls of Infusion was changing dragon whelplings from their natural form into their sort of Titan-ordered form, where they're all smooth and, I suppose, nice to us, I think it's pretty clear that the vast Titan machineries all around the planet are doing the same to her. And the idea that a world soul can be altered through magic was shown to us in Legion. If you're wondering why Argus is a Death Titan, well, it's because Sargeras was tricked into bombarding it with death magic, which is what led to Argus being Argus.
So they can take on the form of whatever magic is put into them, or basically infused into them. And we did talk about this at BlizzCon. Like, Metzen did mention, oh yeah, we're going to learn about why all these Titan facilities are, I believe he said, slapped into the side of Azeroth. So it's going to be, there's going to be some lore to tell about this. I had no idea that this was because of death magic. I kind of assumed he was like a Death Titan and Azeroth is the Life Titan or something like that.
Into bombarding it with death magic, which is what led to Argus being Argus. So, yeah, Magni has changed, but so has Azeroth. And I think that's why the Radiant Song is heard by Thrall, by Jaina, Anduin, and others that aren't him. I think that Azeroth has changed. Look around the story. Void is growing powerful. We see that in the Darkheart quest line, that something went down in Aberys. And if you go to Aberys, you see this absolute Void insanity. And then that is where Illyria comes in. She does not hear the Radiant Song as others do. She does hear something, but not as they do. What she hears is darker. It's more aggressive, but it is still from below. And I think the killer fact for me is that when Azeroth speaks to him, at the start of War Within, it blasts Magni, a pure order-aligned being, back. He's overwhelmed. He's put into a coma.
Maybe she's like, get the hell out of here. She's annoyed. Maybe she's done with this shit. She's like, I'm not supposed to be fully ordered.
And my final clue helps show us why. The final discovery from Dragonflight is in the Vault of the Incarnates, specifically their prisons. Take a look at these little prison orbs.
Yeah.
Now take a look at the logo for the last Titan.
Yeah.
I think it's a very clear nod to the idea that Azeroth is bound in titanic chains, likely being pumped full of order magic so that when she wakes, she will wake as a Titan.
This was actually why I said that maybe Sargeras wasn't trying to kill her when he put his sword in. Maybe he was just trying to put the tip, just the tip, into this mechanism to break it, to actually free her from this prison that she's currently in.
Just like how
this world is a prison.
That same process changes what a dragon is, but of course wrote large. In the same way that Sargeras changed what Argus was by pumping him full of death magic, and I suppose a little bit like evolving Eevee in Pokemon, It's like, what kind of magic stone do you put in the Eevee before it evolves? Changes what Eevee it turns into. There you go. As much as that takes all seriousness away from the story, it's a pretty easy way to explain the core concept here. So, Magni was a foot soldier in the Titan's plan during BFA, and he spoke to Azeroth, I believe, through their machinery.
There it is.
Now the thing is, the planet has shrugged off its titanic chains. Magni then is left obsolete. Azeroth is waking up. right? That's the whole thing that was going on with, say, the waking shores in our new expansion, right? That's all Azeroth herself waking up, not necessarily Azeroth through all the Titan machinery waking up, because clearly whenever Azeroth was a little bit more damaged, a little bit more oppressed,
right,
in BFA, the stuff was going on through Magni. Now it seems she is waking in a way where she is just significantly more powerful.
She's moved on. She's grown up. She's no longer in her high school phase, and she wants to explore the world. That's it. She doesn't want to deal with her old boyfriend from high school anymore. Right? That's it. That's it. So there you go. It makes sense, actually, that when she was more Titan, influenced and aligned, she was speaking through Magni, who seems to have been a pawn for the Titans. And now that she's kind of broken free, she's like, get out of here. Piece of little shit, Magni. You're useless. I'm going to talk to the real people who have power in this world.
And I do think there is a causal link here. I do think there is a reason why this is specifically happening now. And I think it's one that Blizzard absolutely in no way will highlight or talk about because it was a disaster. In the fight with Zoval, he basically blasts Azeroth and does loads of damage. And if you think about Azeroth, and you're like, well, what changed from the last expansion to this one? It's kind of Zoval doing that. I don't know if he actually broke something, right? If he maybe broke something during that fight. There is the whole
maybe. I mean, we had failed in this fight before. We used to get DPS checked by him early on, and he would actually destroy Azeroth. That's how it plays out if you lose.
Forming in the plan. Look, I know, to just bring up Shadowlands like that, unsolicited, pretty nasty thing for me to do to you. But I think it was Blizzard's intent, but I think it's something that, that they're kind of stuck with, but I think they've moved away from it. And that's why they're not saying, oh yeah, this has happened because, Zoval kind of rustled things up a bit. Anyway, what this means for Magni is the old version of Azeroth that he talked to is different. She's waking up. She's maybe more of her own person, and now she's in a state where many people are fighting over her. You have the Arathi Light Empire, you have the Beladar, this bizarre light and void crystal, you have Xalatath and all of her bunch. Of course, the Titans will come back in The Last Titan, and they'll probably want Azeroth, because that's been their entire plan for millennia. And
they're definitely coming back. I mean, that's Eridikron's endgame plan, right? The whole reason why he's teamed up with Xalatath is he wants to bait the Titans to come back so he can beat them up. He can beat the shit out of them. What his plan is and how he plans to beat them up, we have no idea. But we do know that his plan is to bait them out and make them come back to Azeroth.
Who knows? Maybe Dimensius, the Void Lord, will appear in our next expansion. That's all far bigger and far more crazy than what Magni was originally able to do. So now he is left with a lack of purpose, essentially left with who he is. And now that means that as Azeroth shrugs off...
Interesting thought that Azeroth could be the mother of all Titans. That's a interesting one. I mean, I wouldn't... So that would mean that her children imprisoned her? I mean, the Titans kind of are based on Greek mythology. And we do know that, like, Zeus and the rest of these, the gods from Greek mythology basically fought against, what was it, Kronos was their dad or something? Didn't they kill their father? He was like this mad god that was like killing everything or something, and they ended up, Kronos, yep. So that could, kind of line up with that story. Obviously slightly changed in a different way, but Blizzard's been known to do that. They've taken plenty of old Greek mythology, Norse mythology, Lovecraftian stuff, and they tweak it a little bit and put it into the game. So it could be that she is their mother, maybe.
For Chains, Magni is a bit obsolete. He is left struggling with his sense of purpose. So now he has got to find his way, he has to find meaning, and he essentially is dealing with the exact struggle that the new Earthen race face on a civilizational level. And it's actually why, as I've played more, I've really liked this. I've really liked the new Earthen. Just more emotion, more culture. They're playing with the rules as established. From playing in the alpha, Matt, Jared, and I, who form our lore team, at least on the, the video writing front, we've seen how Blizzard are playing around with all of this, and I hope today's video has given you enough of a toehold to understand and hopefully enjoy what is to come. But okay, that's it for me. If you would like some more lore, do check out this video next. It is about the Arathi of Hallowfall, and it turns out, not only Hallowfall, it's a pretty crazy situation, way more than we expected.
We watched it, it's a pretty good one.
See you over there. Thanks for watching, and goodbye.
Interesting. Yeah, I was not expecting that much earthen lore. But it does make the earthen cooler, the fact that they kind of relate in this way. They have this reset mechanism, but their memory only goes back so far because something was destroyed. We'll have to see who did that and why going forward. So far, the lore from the War Within overall does excite me. So I'm excited to see what happens next.